Good evening and welcome to York County Community Foundation's 2022 annual meeting. We're so excited to be here in person. Well, most of us anyway. Unfortunately, our CEO and President Jane Conover has the flu and is unable to join us this evening. But the good thing about having a great staff and team is that the show will go on. I want to start by thanking our sponsors for helping to make this evening possible. Barley Snyder, CGA Law, Fulton Bank, Gladfelder Insurance Group, Traditions Bank, Wagman Inc., and the York Water Company. Let's give them a round of applause. When I was thinking about this event, and in particular this venue, I thought, what a great space to reflect on this past year. This space is where kids come and use their creativity and curiosity to discover solutions to problems. Being curious in a time of uncertainty and change is something we have all done over the past 2 years. And just like us, the foundation has had to pivot and be creative. We delivered last year's annual event and many donor engagement events virtually. We had to be adept and respond to not only the economic challenges that were happening in the community, but also respond to local and national events that created unrest and division in our community. As Abraham Lincoln pointed out 2 decades ago, a house divided cannot stand. We know it will take all of us working together to bring change to our community. At York County Community Foundation, we aspire to fuel community transformation. We recognize that philanthropic dollars can be the fuel that helps support change. We call this transformational philanthropy. To each of us, this may mean something slightly different. And today you'll get to hear from staff and board members who will share what it means to them. To me, transformational philanthropy is having meaningful impact in my community. While it's important that we continue to support the needs in this moment, to have meaningful impact, we need to think beyond the needs of today. It's about helping people thrive, not just survive. It's about how York County Community Foundation can help me and you have a meaningful impact that goes beyond our lifetimes. That's how far into the future our gifts will continue to shape this community. But it's more than just dollars that fuels transformation. It's also about creating awareness to the challenges that are preventing people in our community from thriving. That's why we launched our Together We Thrive series. These events and webinars are designed to educate our donors and the community about the barriers people face to achieving lasting financial stability and to challenge us to be curious about what we can do to address the issue. I encourage you to attend the Together We Thrive series to fuel your own personal curiosity and growth. Over the last year, our board has engaged in strategic work to affirm our mission and focus areas, as well as gain commitment to our part in creating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive York County. Tonight, we thank 2 retiring board members for their support and guidance, not only during the past year, but for the many years they have brought their valuable perspectives to the board table. John Bailey and Jack Shorb, please stand and be recognized. John and Jack have each provided 9 years of service to our board, and in that time, they have been steady advisors and great ambassadors to the foundation. Thank you for your service. We have selected books for each of you and have added a copy with your name inside to the York County Library System. For John, we selected The Art of Principled Entrepreneurship, Creating Enduring Value, and Jack's book is titled Rescuing the Planet, Protecting Half the Land to Heal the Earth. We also want to thank our nearly 100 volunteers who serve on committees and who assist in the grant-making process. These individuals give generously of their time to help us award grants, invest wisely, be good financial stewards, and more. Your contributions bring diverse perspectives to our work. Thank you. I'm proud of the work we have accomplished over my 2 years as board chair. We supported the community response to the pandemic via the launch of the COVID-19 Response Fund. We engaged in strategic planning and developed a plan to guide us through the next few years. We worked with a consultant to understand the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion and how it applies to our work. We grew our endowed assets, increased engagement with donors, and we continued to lend our voice to community issues. I'm happy to pass the board leadership to someone who believes in this community and this foundation as much as I do. Holly Mayer has served as our investment committee for 14 years and has led the committee over the last 8 years. She has also been a board member for 8 years. She will bring her leadership skills to ensure our work is focused on transformational philanthropy that creates a thriving, vibrant York County. As I pass the torch to Holly, I'd like to share this parting thought. Change happens when we allow our minds to be open to it. I challenge each of us to channel the curiosity of children and explore the possibilities. With this collective, open mindset, I am confident that together we can fuel community transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. I'm honored to be stepping into the role of board chair for the Community Foundation, and I appreciate your leadership over the last 2 years. As we say thank you to outgoing board members, we also welcome 2 new faces to the board of directors. Jody Anderson-Leidy has been a supporter of the Community Foundation by helping her clients at Stock and Leader create their legacies with YCCF. She also knows the grant side of the house, as she has served on our grants distribution committee for many years. Prior to her retirement, Michelle Havis was the executive director of York County Human Services. She serves as the chair of the Memorial Health Foundation Board, a supporting organization of YCCF. We are very proud to have both Jody and Michelle join our board. As Krista shared, it's been a couple of very busy years at YCCF, and I couldn't be more excited about where the organization is going. We will be bold in our approaches to grant making, donor engagement, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are catalysts and partners for community transformation, and we're so grateful to have all of you here tonight and your commitment for a thriving York County. To me, transformational philanthropy is about the long-term impact of our endowment. We want every permanent endowment with a foundation to have the same purchasing power 20, 50, 100 years from now as it does today. 2021's investment return of 19.5% means an additional $31.1 million was added to the endowment last year for our community. This translates to an additional $1.4 million available each year for grant making. This growth is especially important to our nonprofit agencies that have funds with us at YCCF, as they rely on their annual distribution grants and endowed funds to support their mission. For nonprofits, having a reliable source of revenue is transformational. They can spend more time transforming lives and less time fundraising. Every year, generous donors add to or create new funds, and Liz Dellinger, board member and chair of our Resource Development Committee, will share our new funds for 2021 and future gifts. Liz?
All right, thank you, Holly. Tonight we're honoring those creating a vibrant York County through gifts to the Community Foundation. Your generosity, foresight, and dedication are so inspiring. Your gifts will be used to make York County a better place to live, work, and play for us today and for generations to come. Each of the special people we recognize tonight has a passion for this community and a legacy mindset. Thank you for going through your lives and careers, seeking opportunities to make a difference that will continue long into the future, and for trusting YCCF to carry out your legacy. We recognize and honor the most recent members of our 1749 Legacy Society. Named for the year in which York County was founded, the 1749 Society recognizes those individuals planning to leave a gift to the foundation after their lifetime. By naming the foundation in their will or as a beneficiary of a retirement or life insurance plan, our 1749 Society members know their charitable wishes will be counted out forever. You can see their names on the screen up here. Last year, 25 new funds were established at the Community Foundation to carry out their creators' legacies. By establishing permanently endowed funds, these individuals and organizations have created a path to help sustain nonprofit organizations, help our community thrive, and continue funding their passions in perpetuity. You'll find a list of all of our new funds in the annual report. Now I'd like to tell you the story of one of our newest funds. Mort Keyes was a florist. He owned Colonial Flower Shop out on West Market Street for over 30 years, but he always wanted to own a farm. He realized his dream and bought a beautiful farm in Dillsburg where he built a house and lived there with his family. Mort led a long and happy life, and his farm is preserved with the Farm and Natural Lands Trust. Mort began his relationship with the foundation by creating the Roy and Eleanor Fund in 2017 to honor his grandparents. Roy and Eleanor loved children, so Mort chose to benefit Leg Up Farm, great organization. With Mort's love of agriculture and farming, he also chose the Farm and Natural Lands Trust, and finally, the York County Communities Foundation Fund for York County. Mort didn't only plant flowers, he also planted the seeds of philanthropy with his family. Mort's sister Susan created the Ralph and Mabel Keyes Fund to honor their parents. Susan chose to support Martin Library. She wanted to support intellectual literacy and freedom, and YWCA York for their aquatics program. Susan was a standout swimmer at William Penn Senior High School and credited YWCA York for her accomplishments. Mort's original intention was to leave his estate to several organizations through YCCF. However, when Mort passed away, he chose to leave his entire legacy to the Fund for York County. Now remember, this is the fund that addresses our community's greatest needs determined through research-based analysis that become the high impact areas we focus on. Mort was really impressed with YCCF and trusted that even though he's gone, through the Fund for York County, his hard-earned money will continue to help his beloved community flourish. Mort told YCCF staff that he wished more people knew of the great work that we do, investing wisely and taking care of organizations and our community forever. What Mort has in common with many of our fund holders and many of you here tonight is that he wanted his legacy to be transformative, not just transactional. I'm with Mort. I believe that transformational philanthropy is active, it's not passive. Mort didn't make a one-time gift that is spent in 1 year. With his estate, he created Mort Keyes Fund for York County. Year after year, grants from his fund will empower nonprofits and our whole community to think big, fix problems, and build a community where everybody has the opportunity to thrive. I'll conclude my remarks, and now I'll turn it over to a special guest that is joining us via video.
Good evening, dear friends. Thank you for joining us to celebrate an awesome year. I so wish I was there with you, but I certainly am there in spirit while keeping my germs to myself. You're all such vital partners to our work, and I just needed you to know that I am deeply grateful. And I am also so excited about working together in the future to do even more good for our beloved community. I want to give a special shout out to Krista Dar for being an outstanding board chair. She is highly engaged in our community, a clear thinker, and has always been there for me with sage advice. Thank you, Krista. Finally, I also must thank the awesome staff and board at the Community Foundation. It's been a dynamic year with outstanding results, and I'm so grateful for your commitment and great work. And tonight, I'm especially grateful to Sarah Thomas, Rabia Khan, and our support team for being resilient in organizing this event under changing circumstances. I hope you all enjoy the evening, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Now I'm going to turn it over to my new best friend, Holly Mayer, who is pinch hitting for me tonight. Thank you so much, Holly. Please give her a round of applause.
So on behalf of Jane, it's not just what we do, it's how we do it. This is the lens we used this past year to evaluate how we can better achieve our vision for a vibrant York County where we can all thrive. Thank you, Liz, and thanks to all of you for celebrating with us tonight. Relationships are at the heart of what we do, and it was so nice to be here today face to face. The dynamic changes in our community and in our world during the past 2 years seemed to be the right time for us to evolve our organization and become even more effective in our philanthropy. We sought feedback on how we do our work and learned that we need to be more courageous leaders. We need to focus on key issues for measurable impact, and we need to be more inclusive and accessible. As York's Community Foundation, we absolutely need to be a place where we all feel welcomed and heard. We need to better connect with those impacted by the issues we seek to address and be open to bolder solutions. We also know that when we align with others towards a common goal, we can achieve transformational progress. With those insights, our board of directors adopted a new strategic framework that will focus on 3 priorities. Number 1 is to be the first place you call to discuss your charitable giving goals and understand how you can be part of community transformation. Our annual report that you can pick up on your way out tonight is filled with stories about donors whose vision has created transformational impact for nonprofits and for our York community. After the tragic death of their son, caring parents created a fund in his name that will benefit organizations that were most important to him. Loyal donors and nonprofits created funds to sustain their good work, and the beauty is that these endowed funds will continue annual gifts forever. Jane shared with me that to her, transformational philanthropy is also about strategic givers. It's about having discretionary grant dollars that can be used to research a problem, to convene conversations, and to align around common goals to implement creative solutions for lasting outcomes. In the next 3 years, our goal is to grow the fund for York County to over $1 million to enhance our great grant-making power towards community priorities. As strategic givers, YCCF is using all of our tools to build a thriving York County. We created a social impact investment fund, which I've had the honor to be on that committee, and we have made over $1.2 million in loans for redevelopment projects. We are also investors in the White Rose Venture Fund to help business startups and expansion in York County. These investments are a win-win for us. They strengthen our local economy and they generate returns that we can then reinvest back into the community. The Women's Giving Circle is an outstanding example of strategic giving. Celebrating its 20th year, Women Giving Circle members have awarded $1 million in grants and have been catalysts for many transformational projects throughout the county. Congratulations to this thoughtful group of visionary women, some of which I recognize are here this evening. When donors pool their resources, transformation happens. Pete Brubaker and Tony Campisi, members of the Pennsylvania Early Learning Investment Commission, convened funders to establish a fund at the Community Foundation to retain educators in early learning centers throughout York County. So far, they have distributed more than $500,000 and have given $460,000 in bonuses to teachers for their amazing commitment to quality childcare. Just today, the York County Early Childhood Educator Award Program was honored with an Innovation in Caring Award from Team PA to recognize them and recognize the partnership between the funders and childcare consultants. The Community Foundation is proud to be a donor and administrator of this fund. Our second strategic priority is to use a lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of our work. We've added diversity to our staff, our board, committees, and support community efforts like the Confronting Racism Coalition. We are not just checking a box, however. We conducted bias awareness training with our staff and our board. We refreshed our hiring practices and our grant process to expand outreach to communities of color. We are now investing in strengthening the cultural competence of the nonprofit sector. Our third priority is to remove barriers to economic mobility so lower income people can build financial security. Earlier this year, we launched the Thrive Grant Program, and that will focus on helping people move from just surviving to thriving. In a moment, we'll share more about the Thrive Grants, but first, I need to say that I'm so proud of our staff and our volunteer team for committing to a culture of transformational philanthropy. Would our board and staff please stand if you're able so we can give you a round of applause. Thank you. Evolving to meet the needs of our changing community is essential to the vitality of our organization. Paying attention to how we do our work and living by our core values of courage, collaboration, integrity, and innovation are essential to building lasting relationships. It is the very best way to make transformational things happen. Now, I am pleased to introduce you to our Vice President of Grants and Community Engagement and DEI Officer, Adrienne Buckner. Adrienne? Turn the screen. You good? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I will say that I was standing up on the inside at that moment. You know, the inner me was standing up. But I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much, Holly. I did take a few steps. If my wife was here, the conversation would go one of two ways. Either, see, you never listen, which I always respond with, huh? Or it would have been, oh, so you can walk now, so I got things I need you to do. So my ass is destroy the tapes, get rid of the video, because I don't want any issues. In the past several years, YCCF has funded some amazing projects aimed at helping the people of York County thrive. First 10 brings together school districts, early childhood programs, and health and social service agencies to ensure that all children have a strong foundation for which they can learn and thrive. A Seat at the Table revolutionized how the charitable food system in York County works together to ensure that everyone has access to nutritious food. The Group Violence Initiative aims to end gun violence in York through focusing on community outreach with the city's young people. Since the program began in 2016, it has helped save countless lives. The pandemic made it very clear that more people in York County are living on the edge that we've imagined. In fact, 32% of York County households are living on a survival budget or less. They live paycheck to paycheck, have no savings. They are on one car repair or one health scare away from a financial crisis. People living in York City and communities of color are disproportionately at risk. Financial hardships impact many older adults as well. Roughly 1 in 3 older adults in York County are financially insecure and struggle to pay for housing and health care. YCCF evaluated this data and listened to community members and organizations that are close to these challenges. We concluded that financial security is fundamental not only to a person's well-being, but it is critical to the prosperous and growing York County. We want people to have the opportunity to thrive, not just survive. Thrive Grants will focus on supporting holistic programs and collaboratives that address the complex barriers that people face to become financially secure. We're intentionally expanding access and impact on historically marginalized groups. We are collaborating with community partners like the United Way and YCEA, who are also focused on economic mobility in an effort to achieve more together. In 2020, YCCF launched a Racial Equity Fund to address racism and inequalities in our community and add another dimension to our grant making. The fund has already awarded $60,000 in grants. It includes a permanently endowed fund that will generate annual grants for racial equity initiatives year after year. Our new advisory committee of volunteer community members determine the purpose as well as the parameters, process for grant selection, and evaluates and selects grant recipients. We're also grateful to all the donors that contributed to that fund. This year, we added $500,000 to the fund and will continue seeking donors who want to invest in opportunities for all. As Holly said, we're committed to incorporating diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of our work. Ageism marginalizes older adults and creates disparities in opportunities for a full life. YCCF has commissioned a report on quantifying aging in York County called Embracing Aging. With that data, we saw gaps. Our managing director of Embracing Aging, Kathy Bollinger, and a committee of advisors created York County's age-friendly plan. York is now designated an age-friendly community by AARP. One gap was lack of knowledge and access to services. One solution was YCCF's launch of Trove Street earlier this year. Trove Street is an online resource and personal navigation services to help you and your older loved ones have the best aging experience possible. It centralizes information about housing options, healthy living, social activities, all with local focus. There is more information on Trove Street inside the back of the pocket of the annual report that you'll be receiving when you leave, and I encourage you to check it out. Our new Thrive Focus racial equity program, Trove Street, and the Age-Friendly Plan are all great examples of transformational philanthropy. They address the whole person, embrace collaborative work, build trust, expand access to services, and support emerging organizations. Because of this work, for me, transformational philanthropy means a brighter future for each of us and the opportunity for each of us to thrive. I'd like to introduce Harold, our second vice chair of the board of directors, member of the DEI committee and governance and nominating committee. You take the stage.
Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here speaking to you today on such a momentous occasion, getting back together after 3 years due to COVID. We've been behind the cameras, Zooming, as we say, and not having to do that is just kind of wonderful and a beautiful day. So, our vision is that York County is a growing, prosperous, united community with unsurpassed opportunities for everyone to thrive. We use high-impact grant-making, community leadership, and inspiring donors to achieve that vision. To me, transformational philanthropy is about equitable access to opportunities. I'm proud that YCCF has publicly recognized that it needs to do more to be a place where people from all walks of life have access to our services. It is powerful that we have devoted resources to help York County be a more welcoming community. Tonight, we will hear about the complexities of community safety. YCCF likes to tackle these challenges through strategic grant making, where we partner with nonprofits and government to address complex problems in ways that create lasting impact. Positive educational experience in safe, stable neighborhoods are critical to economic mobility and thriving communities. Unfortunately, involvement in crime is a major barrier to economic opportunity. Some of the things that we've been involved in to steer folks away from that is a grant that we did to the GEAR Project, which is a 36-week robotic and engineering pilot program for York City students in grades 9 through 12. This is led by Ray Ames, who is executive director of the Young Thinkers of York, Inc. The program teaches transferable science, technology, engineering, and math skills, and includes virtual college tours, visits from guest speakers in the STEM industry, and a company tour in the STEM industry itself. Another example of things we're doing is a recent loan from our Social Impact Investment Fund to a newly formed minority development company called Four Squares Development. Four Squares is renovating 3 properties in Salem Square with the aim of selling them to residents of that neighborhood as a means to provide housing stability and generate wealth among residents of York City. Unfortunately, we deal with some of these complexities, and there's a little stat here. In 2020, Guns became the leading cause of death for children and teens, killing more people ages 1 through 19 in the US than vehicle crashes, drug overdoses, or cancer. York, like any other city in the country, grapples with how to best address the challenges that people face that cause them to turn to crime and violence. We know that reducing gun violence is a priority for the York City Police Department, and they are driven to implement solutions while fostering a sense of security in communities and individuals. In recent years, the police force is committed to repairing bridges with the public, and especially with communities of color. Our speaker today has been a driving force behind numerous creative initiatives to address these complex issues. We are so grateful for his leadership and for a chance to learn from him this evening. Let me just tell you a little bit about York City Police Commissioner Mike Muldrow. He was sworn in Thursday, November 5th of 2020, right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. Mike began his career in law enforcement as a correctional officer at York County Prison. He joined the York City Police Department in May of 2000. In his time with the York City Police Department, he has served the Community Policing Unit, the Mobile Neighborhood Policing Team, and assisted the York County Drug Task Force as a sworn county detective. For the last 12 years, Mike served as the Chief of School Police and Safety Service for the York City School District, where he was integral in the creation of the department and is most proud of his work in strengthening the relationship between law enforcement and our community. Please give a round of applause and welcome Commissioner Muldrow.
All right, that was a very warm introduction. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. I look around the room and I'm so excited to be here. I'd like to thank Miss Jane for this opportunity. As he said, my name is Michael Muldrow, and I'd like to give you the very super short version about me. I grew up here. I absolutely love this community, and I'm not at all shy to say it. And I am proudly the commissioner of your York City Police Department. With that said, I'd like to ask you for a little bit of your time. Time to get a message off my chest. Time to address a few elephants and get you this mighty group of change makers and community influencers that I see in front of me. Get you pumped up, back on your feet, and headed in the right direction. Because I'm here to tell you, wherever you all go, this town is sure to follow. I know we're all used to seeing stuff on the news that can make you grow weary in well-doing, and reading stories on social media that depict York as this wasteland full of crime, loss, and despair. And while no one is more acquainted with the cases, the places, the names than I am, I'd just like to take a few minutes to let you know what I see when I look around. York City, we're about 40,000 people in a county of approximately 450,000. Our department deals with nearly 60,000 emergency calls per year. That's over 150 calls per day. We've been dealing with approximately 165 shots fired calls, approximately 60 non-fatal shootings, and about 12 homicides per year. In that, we solve approximately 70% of all those cases, and our officers are averaging nearly a gun arrest every other day. The highest production numbers, I'm proud to say, that our department has ever seen, and the countless lives that are saved that come with it. And we do all that with just approximately 100 men and women, 100 officers. But what's just as important as all that, things you don't always get to see on the news, is that our complaints are down by nearly 50%. Our officers are generally happier when they come to work. Our relationships with our citizens are getting stronger, and our list of community partners continue to grow. We've managed to increase the diversity levels of our department from approximately 9% to well over 20 in less than 2 years. We've been able to make amends, healing a history of abuse and misuse with police canines by reimagining how dogs are used in policing. With the introduction of our therapy dog program, which you as a group, particularly one cherished family here today, helped us start. We'd like to say thank you so much for that, because without you, there would be no victory. We continue to bring our department and our community closer and closer together with initiatives like our free surveillance camera systems to our senior residents, the Handle with Care initiative to support individuals in crisis or suffering from mental illness, bringing on co-responders, trauma counselors to support individuals in crisis, humbly recognizing our limits and the fact that we as a police department full of officers are not always the most appropriate tool. Putting civilian credible messengers, violence interrupters from our neighborhoods, like Tiff Lowe, on the street, along with juvenile engagement officers and outreach specialists, in an effort to focus on prevention just as much as we focus on arrest. And we continue to do all this and recognize that we're able to bring a positive state and national attention on this little city of York. Attention on us as a model for police reform through our police and community interaction. Imagine that, York as a first when it comes to policing. But as you know, doing this kind of work in this sort of way can get a little tough, a little emotionally draining. Actually, I contend it's only really possible for me because of praying parents, encouraging friends, patient family members, a boss with vision, and a level of community support that I never could have imagined. See, for me, admittedly, I'm a dreamer. And it's about those intangible concepts like perspective and purpose, hope and love. Things you can't quite quantify, put your finger on, or record on a stat sheet. But of them all, hope and perspective are what really keeps me going. See, when I look around York, both the city and the county, what I see, what I look at and find is what is, what was, and what can be. I don't get caught up just seeing the 2% of the individuals who repeatedly commit all the crime. Shameless plug for Pastor Tyson, those individuals that the GVI initiative you graciously help us sponsor, look to address. I also see that 98%, the kids, the families, and the residents who live here, who get up and go to work and go to school Monday through Friday, doing the right thing every day and adding to what makes York special. I see kids and stories like Shanice, who even while dealing with homelessness and food insecurity, managed to go on to finish high school, top of her class, finish college, and is pursuing a career in journalism. I see people like Mike Smith, who turned his whole life around and year after year dedicates himself to helping youth escape the same traps that caught him. I see stories like my wife's, a little girl from the south side of town who overcame a history of drugs in her family, sexual assault, and an abusive marriage to go on to become a vice president at WellSpan Health, one of the county's largest employers, with hundreds of employees, hundreds of families that look to her for leadership, guidance, and support. I see stories like the Vietnam vet and his wife, who despite the challenges of the times that they came up in, managed to use a single yes and the opportunity to buy a home in this community, in our neighborhoods, to settle down, raise a family, set their roots, and give this community 40 plus years of distinguished service and impeccable example of citizenship. I see people like Mr. Louis Appel, who took the time to meet with little young nobody like me, and even in his death, has gone on to support countless organizations, kids, and community efforts. But who tells those stories? Who talks about the thousands of people that are doing right while the dozens of people are out there doing wrong and making all the headlines? Who tells their stories if we don't? See, we have a tendency to allow the negative to speak so much louder than the positive. Those 5 or 10 bad things that always seem to outweigh the beauty of the 90+ wonderful things that occur around us every day. And in such a negative society, people find it so much easier to talk about the painful things, while the positive things often go unnoticed, unshared, and unspoken. Well, not for me. As my wife and my boss would shake their heads and agree right now, I fancy myself a bit of a serial optimist. It's not that my life is easy, nor has it been without its fair share of hardship, struggle, or pain. Heck, you can just Google me, and you can see that that's not the case. We can all look back over the last 2 years and find enough negative for a lifetime. With COVID, work failures, issues with our kids and families, illness, death, financial troubles, the political drama, and now war. We've all had our struggles and our fair share of trauma. We've all had moments where we've been knocked down. The difference is, I wake up daily and choose not to focus on that empty part of my glass. See, we all get down, but it's up to us to choose whether or not we stay down, whether you choose the view from your bottom or the view from your top, once you've decided to stand back up. It's from that vantage point I live, I really look, observing, surveilling, watching for the good that's occurring all around us, all the time. Taking time to take it in, but not just take it in, talk about it. Why? Because I believe that encourages people, and it helps make life just a little bit easier. Not just for me, but also for the people around me. See, my thought, my mantra, my measure for life is this: if my presence doesn't make a room a little bit brighter, then I'm not really trying hard enough. And not because of my badge. Being a police officer, while I love it and I respect it, it's just the platform that I use. The platform that allows me to allow God to affect other people through me. See, no matter who you are or what you do, we all have a platform for influence and affecting others, for the good or for the bad. And to me, that's what service, whether customer service, service to our families, service to the community, or living in the service of God is all about. Leaving a mark on another person, an experience that carries them throughout their days and helps restore their faith in other people. And every interaction is an opportunity to do just that. No matter how routine, how insignificant, or how difficult it may seem. Because you never quite know when, where, or how that service, that influence, those opportunities may come back and directly affect you or someone else. If you'll indulge me for a second, I'd like to tell you a bit of a story. Years ago, when I was still working at the York County Prison, I met someone, and I didn't know that it was going to go on to be so impactful for me in life. Later in life, as a young officer, before the beard, before the gray, I remember being on duty and coming down Queen Street, and as I would any other day, rolling up on 3 individuals in a back alley who were back there using drugs. And I remember getting out the car, and 2 of them immediately stopped and put their hands against the wall when I ordered them to. The third one turned around and decided to fight, and fight with everything that he had. That man fought me so hard, we fought for an entirety of 4 minutes. And if anybody could imagine what that's like, we fought for 4 minutes. In the course of that fight, I was knocked down, he was knocked down. I was getting tired, he was getting tired. I tried to use different pieces of equipment on my belt, but they didn't work. I tried to handcuff him and he slapped my handcuffs away. I tried to get on my radio and I couldn't quite reach it because he was giving just as good as he got. And I remember as I thought to myself, could this be the moment that I die? Could this be the moment that I don't see my daughter and my wife and my family again? I remember holding on for dear life, holding on, not knowing what was going to happen next. And I started to hear other people coming from the nearby street. I started to hear a crowd gather. And as I sat there waiting to be kicked, waiting to be stomped, not knowing what was going to happen to me next, I heard feet getting closer and closer. And as the man got closer and I braced myself, he immediately yelled out, "Muldrow, can I help you?" You can't imagine how that felt. To have somebody in plain clothes run up when you're at wit's end at the end of your rope and offer you some help. And as he helped roll this guy over and helped me get him handcuffed and secured, I immediately realized who he was. It had been one of the inmates that remembered me from when I worked at the prison. It had been one of the inmates that thought to himself that he remembered me and he remembered that I treated him respectfully, who stopped to help me. And if I hadn't taken the time to listen to that man when I was working at the prison, to engage with him, to respect him, even though he was in jail, oh so many years prior, to see the value that he brought to the table as more than just an inmate or a task that I had to contend with. He may not have viewed my life as something worth saving, worth fighting for, or worth getting involved in. And I may not be standing here today. So while that story and that example may be much more dramatic than you may imagine occurring in your own situation, my point is this: you just never know. So in everything, look for your moments. Look for your opportunities. Look for your ways you can use the platform that is your life to help, to inspire, to impact others. You don't have to be a police officer or a prominent business owner or a community leader or even go far out of your way. Just get involved. All we have to do is look for those opportunities that present themselves in our own lives each and every day. The opportunities that arise that we're able to affect and impact and be of service to others. Opportunities to stand up, speak up, and pick someone else up. Don't be afraid to lovingly confront wrong or lack or pain when you see it, resisting the urge to look away. Whether it's telling a loved one something's a bad idea and you can see them heading down the wrong road and you think they should stop, or stopping to call 911 when you see something happening as you're driving home, or speaking up on someone else's behalf when you see injustice brewing or disrespect rearing its ugly head, checking on a coworker who may have a bad bruise, emotional weight, pain, or an obvious struggle that they're dealing with, or investing in someone else's dreams, their talent, their neighborhood, or their future. Because you just never know. A well-placed word, story, pat on the back, or even dollar shared at the right time may be just the thing that that person may need to carry on, to keep on going and change their situation. See, your little bit may be there a lot. Your insignificant may be there invaluable. Your no big deal may be the biggest thing that's ever happened to them. And why do we do it? Why try? Why take that extra step? Why go out of our way like that? Because at the end of the day, for people like you and I, that's what life's all about. Serving and sharing. It's about the energy we give, the battles we take on, and the ways that we pour into other people for the sake of satisfying that burning desire that we have on the inside just to help. knowing when you go to bed each night that you are part of something bigger, and believing that if you do something good, good just may come back to you. It's about righting wrongs, changing situations, and working to make everything around us just a little bit better. See, I've been alive for 47 years now, and the one thing I've known and come to understand is regardless of your religious beliefs, regardless of your background, or even your accomplishments, you can expect that life truly does work in cycles. And what you put out will definitely come back to you. So be mindful of the situations around you. And even as you do that, be mindful of your attitudes and how you're coming across to other people. Because how we present ourselves controls so much of what happens to us, and for others. Both what we do and what we say. See, I'm not the most religious person, and I'm far from a biblical scholar by any means. But my Bible says in Romans 4:17, speak those things that are not as if they are. Because there is power in the tongue. There is power in the things that we say. Just like you have the ability to tear people down, beat up their dreams, their hopes, and their motivations, you have the ability to heal, encourage, and build people up, just in the words that you say and the way that you say them. So speak life over your situations at home. Speak healing over pain, sickness, lack, death, and discord that you see all around us, in our city, in our neighborhoods, and in our nation. Recognize your platform. Understand your power. Look for the positive ways to find and highlight what's good. Shine a light when you can, and understand no matter who we are, the one thing we all have the ability to do is control ourselves. And if and when we all do that, we can have a great impact and do a lot of good for everyone, both in our houses and outside of them. So remember, each and every one of us is a brand, and your life is a product. And your loved ones, friends, family, and the people that you meet, they're your customers and your constituents. And they're all watching us, listening to our words, watching our actions, and learning from our example. So let's clean up our conversations and be purposeful about our message. Be mindful of how we use our words and also our influence, and use it to make our community bigger, better, and stronger. See, the truth is, there are bad things going on all around us in this country, in every nook, crevice, cranny, and county. So let's start speaking life and purpose and potential over this town. Because at the end of the day, York's no better or any worse than any other community. York is going to be what we make it. So let's make it something special. Let's make it something beautiful. Let's make it something that we want to celebrate, something we want to leave to our kids and our grandkids. And do that by coming together, by working together, by standing together, by making our time, our days, our name, and our moments matter. No matter what your role, no matter where you live, no matter who's watching, just make sure you make your time count. So to you, our community champions, stay encouraged. Know that nothing you do or say is wasted. Not to eyes and ears like mine. I know we can't do it without you, and I know I can't do it without you. So thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your eagerness to help. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to this community. And thank you for your dedication to living a life that sets an example for everyone. Thank you for your desire to leave your mark on this town and the people in it, and your willingness to be a smile in a world that's slowly forgetting how. So keep fighting, keep trying, Keep telling our story the way we want it told. Keep making waves and keep leaving footprints in the sand. God bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner Muldrow, for being here tonight on behalf of the Community Foundation and as a citizen of York County. Wow, your speech was awesome and inspirational and certainly has given me some things to think about. So thank you. Thank you also again for everyone being here tonight. We invite you to join us downtown or downstairs here for downtown for a reception to celebrate Transformational Philanthropy. I can't say the word, I'm sorry. Philanthropy. Thank you, I just was so inspired. Appreciate it. Take good care. Bye-bye.